Ekekwen. Yeah. Ekekwen. Yeah. Ekekwen zone. The mechanic one and they buy you know what them and the mechanic one lawyer man. We will add the we will add the I got 1 minute of the walk along Gadaka. No one is Minister like by you. What you will even like by your Garagada. Like by you.
This is a story about education in Eke community in Enugu State, eastern Nigeria, and about the man who brought it there, Paramount Chief Onyama, who died in 1933. You see, the spread of education across Nigeria's geo-ethnic territories has a very nuanced and rich history. In this series, I will be attempting to unravel this past with the hopes of gleaning insights that could help in improving systems of education in the country. What makes parents interested in their children receiving formal schooling? What inspires a community to be invested in the education of its young? And what motivates the children themselves to be eager to learn? These are some of the questions we are interested in finding the answers to. Starting around the middle of the 19th century, formal education was introduced into parts of what is now Nigeria by British Christian missionaries and subsequently by the British colonial government. The many diverse ethnicities here had diverse socio-cultural practices and systems of governance. And so, different methodologies were required across different regions to facilitate the uptake of education. For instance, with territories that had strong hierarchical systems of governance, such as monarchies in the north, the consent of a leader was sufficient to ensure the spread of education across his subjects. However, in the southeast, where Eke is resident, a more lateral civic system was inherent, where buy-ins to the proposition of formal education was on a more individualistic rather than communal basis. This is what is remarkable about Chief Onyama. While the warrant chief system installed by the British was not as successful as intended in other parts of the southeast, Chief Onyama himself, for reason of a strong and dominant personality, was able to leverage this hierarchical apparatus to impose his will on the people he was asked to rule over, including his will that everyone receive a formal education. In the city of Enugu, I met up with his grandson, Telibe Onyama, the critically acclaimed author of the book Nigger at Eton, to learn more.
Well, you see, the facts, how it all started with it. He was essentially a slave dealer.
Right.
He worked with the Arabs. He worked under the apprenticeship with Arabs. And he went to all the coasts and had very early contact with the slave dealers, merchants. And that was how he had his connection as a slave dealer. And he had this connection with the European peoples. And so that access to the Europeans was like a stimulus. When he heard that the military group had now landed in Eke, he now took initiative and went and welcomed them and prevailed on these people. Don't resist people. Don't resist these people. They are stronger than we are. They will defeat us. And he won their confidence. And so, through the vigors of the hour, they gave him appointment.
The white people?
Yes. He now, of course, consolidated his power. And this is how he started. And he now saw these people represented change.
Right.
The wind of change was blowing. And he saw that these people brought in a civilization that was for the future.
The then wealthy Chief Onyama insisted that not only his children attend school, but also all the children within and around Eke community at his expense. As a direct result, many members of his immediate and extended family, as well as a remarkable number of people from Eke community, have distinguished themselves in academia and public service, including Chief Onyama's own son, Daddy, who went on to become a justice of the World Court at The Hague. I decided to visit Eke community myself to get a better gauge of the legacy of the man. And there, I met Nigeria's Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, who is the grandson of Paramount Chief Onyama and the son of Justice Daddy Onyama. He was there attending the reunion of the extended Ozoji family, to which the Onyama family belongs.
So although he himself was not educated, he lived on by his wits and all that. When he became the paramount chief and came back here, he was determined that his people would be educated, and he brought education to this part of the country. In the family, because today we're celebrating, it's a reunion of the Ozoji family, so that's Chief Onyama's father, and then the sons and all the descendants, and they're scattered all over the world in every single field imaginable. We had veterinary doctors are here, doctors, engineers, accountants, literally every profession you will find in the Ozoji community. And this is all because of the vision of one man for education in this part of, for his family and also for others.
Everywhere I went in Eke, I was greeted with the hospitality and the warmth that they as a people are renowned for. What is more, everyone I met seemed very eager to talk to me about Paramount Chief Onyama. They all told stories about how the visionary Chief Onyama, in recognizing that education was the tool for the social advancement of his people, among other things, invited the Catholic mission to Eke to come and set up a school there. Along with the executive director of the Center for the Study of the Economies of Africa, Dr. Chukwuka Onyekwena, I visited the Honorable Minister in his country home to speak more about his grandfather.
And as I said, he was very generous towards the Catholic Church community, and gave them land and gave them the scope to not only, proselytize, convert, and preach, but also to educate.
Dr. Onyekwena was curious about the personality of the man to be able to assert such authority and direct outcomes as he had done within that system.
He had a very, very strong personality, and very dominating, and different names that he's seen in different. He was a controversial figure. Some would say he was a tyrant. But the important point is that he had total power, and he was able to use that to impose his vision, actually, on the people.
Hero or tyrant, one fact is inarguable. The strong determination of Chief Onyama that his people receive education yielded profound outcomes in social mobility across generations.
What the money can in and one in